Now, believe it or not, I like to be a guy who actually finishes what he starts. And, you know, some things don't have to be finished by law, but I feel like Donkey Kong Country 3 isn't one of those super complicated games that require a several month break. Anyway, we're in Razor Ridge. This is the other world besides K3. I believe it was K3 that we did with Fresno in the last video. This is definitely the less good one, I think. You know, a couple of the stages are... It's got a bit of a theme going to it, but it's kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, which is, I guess, what you could say about most of Donkey Kong Country 3 in general. And it's kind of... You're just kind of this bird the whole time. You're Quax again, and it's a bit of a Quax puzzle stage, except you don't have to deal with any gravity stuff. You just have to deal with these green guys. And they're not the best guys in the world. They're actually... It's these green guys, and there's this whole thing with the bees, and you gotta, like, drop the barrel at the right time so that you can go through the holes. I thought that was the right way to go. I didn't mean to go into that bonus, but we are here to bash the baddies. There's some stage... We're gonna see it sometime. I don't know when. It's either this video or next video. I don't remember anything that happens in this video, to be honest. But there's going to be at least one stage. It's basically like Animal Antics from DKC2, except way less interesting and a lot easier, which is... I don't know. I think the only reason people put Animal Antics in any regard is actually because it's kind of hard. I don't... As a designed stage, it's alright, except for the obvious part. Otherwise, I don't know, it might actually be a bit of a forgettable stage. Anyway, I think this is also the first time we're in a cave for any distinct length of time. I could be wrong about this. But, you know, in the end of, like, every underwater level, we would always be in a cave, and I went backwards. We would be in a cave, and we would only be there for like 5 seconds. But this is actually like this whole like level bit. The developers didn't want to just make a bunch of cave graphics and a cave song without actually having the caves be stages themselves. The cave music's pretty alright. It's relaxing. It's about what you expect out of a cave. It's something that I think would fit pretty well. Actually, yeah, this whole like cave and everything reminds me a lot of the first Donkey Kong Country game, actually. It fits in pretty well in that regard. As for these green helicopter guys, they kind of show up a lot more and more. Honestly, I think they kind of act as a replacement for the red zingers, which there are red zingers in this game, but they're not that much of a big deal as they were in the previous games. While these guys, I don't think you can hurt them in any way. They're wearing their helmets, which I guess makes them immune to pain. They have a much wider radius that they can hit you with. And this is definitely like a bad design thing. Not like I'm a design expert or anything. But they have a very bad habit of popping up from the top of the screen out of nowhere to surprise you. Which is the absolute worst. It's very difficult to judge how close these guys are. And they also like change their directions a lot. Like how fast they're going. So, you know, a lot's going on with them. And I guess because of that, whoever makes the big decisions in 1996, 96, 95, whatever. Rareware, they really liked. They were like, we gotta make it harder. Oh, there's a good case of that happening right there. Except it was from the bottom up, not the top down. In general, just be afraid all the time, I guess, is what I can tell you. I always notice having one Kong left is very much the equivalent to having 0 rings in Sonic the Hedgehog, except I feel like it's a lot more stressful, because when you have 0 rings in Sonic the Hedgehog, it's pretty easy to get another ring, unless you're in like a boss fight or something, then it gets kind of hard. But in these stages, like, the amount of hits you have is pretty limited, and It's weird. It's like this whole thing of like I'm super cocky and like I take a lot of risks when I know I can take a hit. But as soon as I take that hit, you can probably notice just by the way I'm playing, I start being a lot more cautious. I start slowing down a lot more. My hands start sweating. It's gross. And then that happens, and then you have to, start over from the checkpoint barrel. But it's fine, because now that I know where to go, it makes things a lot easier. It's kind of like a shoot-'em-up, a shmup in that way. Whatever the right term is. I'm not a shmup man. Because now I know there's a guy at the bottom that will try to surprise me. So I'll wait for him to come up first. He doesn't even go all the way up. Like, there's... I almost want to say that if you had no idea that that helicopter boy... I'm gonna call them helicopter boys from now on. If that helicopter boy... If you didn't know that helicopter boy was coming up, you were basically guaranteed a hit. But if you do know, then it's very easy to avoid it, which is, again, not shmup philosophy, but because shmups can actually be a lot more fair than that. But still, I'm not doing a good job with dropping the barrels. They have a bit of a... What's the right word? Not an arc, but a little bit of momentum. Eventually, yeah, who cares? Just take the hit and move on, right? I think me falling to the ground there is what you call just a moment of being really angry with myself. I feel like I was making a point before I died and had to restart in the first place, but I totally lost that point. So now I'm just kind of like at a loss of... Oh yeah, the getting hurt and taking risks and sweaty hands. My hands used to not sweat when I played video games, but now they do. That was the final point I wanted to make. Which now you know, so thanks. I think this is the last, like, puzzly bit. It's still the same pattern of, like, oh, it's gonna get harder and harder, puzzle-wise, which it's not really much of a puzzle. It's more like, how well can you thread the needle in the situation? Could actually probably squeeze through the top, is it Bird, the top singer there if you tried hard enough, but I think I just want to take that risk. I had to cut out a couple of deaths during this recording. I can tell you that much, definitely, in case it wasn't totally obvious. This is still post-commentary I'm doing, because live commentary has become very risky. Oh yeah, this is scary. Yeah, see, that was a scary moment. But luckily, as soon as you see a sign like that in an Animal Buddy stage, you're pretty guaranteed to be safe, as long as the helicopter boy doesn't get you. So that was Buzzer Barrage. This part's a little weird. I feel like there's a point to this, but there's these two bears that run this chairlift, and you have to take the chairlift to move on. And I don't think you have to do a quest or anything, or have to meet some sort of requirement to take this chairlift. You just take it. Check out our lift. You can take the lift back, and it's a good time, I guess. Chairlifts are pretty scary. I'm not a fan. Oh, speaking of not being a fan. Oh boy. Freezing Inferno from the last video is not a fan of this stage, and I'm not a fan of this stage either. I think it's pretty... it's pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, like, it's basically an auto-scrolling stage. The helicopter boys surprise you, and you just kind of have to stay in the middle and hope you don't get hit like that. Because you can't really speed through this. If you go to the top, it's not like the screen will scroll through you. That would have made this stage a lot more interesting. You could see some bananas off to the side for like shortcuts and goodies. You can do that if you're so inclined. I wasn't, because you're not looking at the first attempt at the stage. Yeah, I don't know why that's there. I guess to save you face. At the very least, now you get to hear what the whole music for the mountains sound like, which you didn't get the chance to do so before. So now you get to hear how this whole thing transitions into wolf howls. Yeah, again, no idea why that barrel is there. Really just an awful, awful stage. It's really why Razor Ridge is definitely on the lower end of things when it comes to this game. Just because, like, I feel like nearly every stage in this world is like that kind of stage where you see it and you groan a little and you're like, I guess I gotta get it over with. And that just happens for, how long is this video? Nearly 30 minutes straight. Sky is green, though. That's cool. Oh, yeah, they go diagonal, too. I forgot that. Yeah, by the way, that happens, too. Oh, what an awful enemy. Oh, God. I feel an invincible enemy is just an excuse to make things harder and without being really interesting. I don't know. Uh-oh. Okay, good. At least we can get the DK coin. Thank God. I was kind of enjoying the atmospheric sound. Next up is Floodlit Fish. This stage is very funny on the Game Boy Advance. So you could quite easily tell what's going on right now. Now, on the Super Nintendo version, this stage was a lot darker. Like, dark enough where it was absolutely impossible to see anything before you hit one of those big fat fish that brighten up the screen. So brightening up the screen by hitting the fish was integral and super important to beating the stage. I think otherwise you'd have to really strain your eyes to make it through. Thing is, Game Boy Advance, super what's the word for it? Infamous. For having a really dark screen in its early years. And I guess there was a bit of paranoia around it. This is just me guessing. And they were like, well, we can't make the stage super dark. We have to make it super bright. And so they way overcompensated. And now this is way too bright. Unfortunately, that doesn't stop this stage from being kind of hard. Actually. Because the stage is kind of hard. The sea urchins kind of have the same problems that the helicopter boys have in this stage, in that they come out of nowhere in certain bits, and a lot of it is mainly guesswork. And here I am being a scared on guard, trying not to get hit. I am glad you are on guard in this stage. That's a bit of a relief, because I can't imagine controlling this as the Kongs. So, you see right there, I just got hit by those sea urchins, because, like, why? Like, it stinks. It's no good. It's not good. You don't know those guys are coming. And it's a shame, because on-guard only stages are usually some of the best parts of Donkey Kong Country games for me. I really like on-guard stages in the second game, and I like using on-guard in the first game, and, you know, having his name be slandered like this is a little unfortunate. This was also the stage where the super menacing underwater music from the Super Nintendo game felt very fitting because of how dark it was. In other stages it didn't feel very right because it was, you know, colorful and bright, but here it really fit in the GBA version that we're looking at. It's just kind of like more of the same. Also, the Game Boy is slowing down a lot, which I don't know if it's just me trying to get through the stage too fast, which you really can't blame me. I kind of wanted to be done with this. This whole next bit is just a gauntlet of sea urchins going up and down and trying to predict where they're going to come from. I can't imagine how awful this would be in complete darkness, because I could take my time here because I could see totally fine. But I wouldn't be able to do that, and I would actually be rushed in the Super Nintendo game, and that would have been bad news bears. Oh, that's also the fact that you have a bit of a recoil when you hit those big fish. I almost called him Big Bertha, but that can't be the name of their fish, because that's a Mario fish. And Mario fish and Donkey Kong fish aren't the same. Oh, I didn't make it anyway. It's a real accurate representation of how this whole thing goes. And I can't... And you know, this does make me realize too that it means that every single Donkey Kong Country game has had a stage where light was a factor. Now, I will say this much. Compared to the dark stage in the first Donkey Kong Country game, I forget the name of it, and then there was Glimmer's Galleon in Donkey Kong Country 2, then this stage, Floodlit Fish in DKC 3. Despite the fact that I think this stage is kind of bullshit, I still think it's probably the best one. I don't know. Because the first one, it's not like hard or BS or anything, it's just really short and feels unnecessary. While Glimmer's Galleon is just terrible, is a terrible maze to go through. This one is just like, it's straightforward and you know what to do. And you know, if you know what you're doing, you can get through it pretty fast. I don't know how I didn't get hit there. That was amazing. I'm so good at this game. But I really want to get out. Like, it's time. I don't know who would go to that bonus barrel in my position. Like, that's completely inappropriate. I'm scared to death, clearly. Like, no one... People shouldn't be playing a video game like this. Oh, good. Oh, this is good. The game slows down and everyone's going back down real slow. Do I try to hit anyone here? No, but you can tell I'm really testing out my hitboxes here. Okay, good. That's it. We're out. Whew. See, the cave. It's the same thing. I gotta get the DK coin in the cave. What kind of player would I be if I didn't, with it being so obviously ahead of me? So, Pothole Panic, back at the caves, and if I remember right, this has a unique enemy? I could be actually completely wrong, or this could be the Animal Antics stage that I'm thinking of, one or the other. Nope, it's the one with the unique enemies. So, Pothole Panic has these purple barrels that just throw a bunch of bombs at you. I think they might show up one or two more times in later stages, but this is basically their introduction and kind of like the stage where they are the primary gimmick. So a whole big thing with these guys is just, you know, just kind of keeping your ears out for any explosions and making sure you don't get in their range. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe you have a couple animal buddies on the way too, so maybe I was right on both counts. I could swear there's one stage where it's like where you actually turn into the animals. But this is a far more relaxed stage. It's probably the best cave stage in the game, which doesn't really say much. There's a lot of these, like, you know, like the big fish and the big birds that drop stuff when you kill them, but they all drop bananas, so it's kind of lame. I don't really know why anyone would bother, why they bothered with that. I knew it. I knew there was something there. That's DKC instincts. Team instinct. That's topical. Okay. Yeah, I go through it. It's a really weird thing is that, like for example, for both Squawks and Unguard, you don't go through like an animal buddy sign. You just kind of leave them behind, which is weird. And I got hit by a stealth bomb there, which actually got me by surprise. Hitboxes last longer than I thought they would. Yeah, maybe there's a thing where you can only have like one no animal buddy sign per stage or something, but whatever. I kind of like use the fact that when you have an animal buddy, you get infinite hits to my advantage because I don't really care for Ellie's well-being. If I'm looking at this right, it looks like Even though there's like water nearby, I don't know if I can actually shoot water out of Ellie's snout. Like she doesn't, it doesn't register in this stage for whatever reason. Oh boy, Squidder. Now this is the boy. This is the real boy. I gotta be careful here. I mean, at least the helicopter boys are going slow, but it can still get a little scary. And he lasts for like all of 30 seconds, so that's another thing. There's a bonus stage up here, I think, along with this DK coin. Really just want to get the DK coin and move on with my life, because these bombs are slowing down this game a significant amount, which is not something that I expected to happen. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is bad. This is painful. Next stage is probably the best stage in the world. It's probably the only one where I'm like, yeah, I'd do this again. It's Ropey Rumpus. Excellent name. Excellent stage. Same canyons, so it's got the excellent music. I guess the theme of this world is rocky places, which isn't the most enticing theme in the world, which is probably why I didn't notice it before. But Ropey Rumpus is good. It's a fast stage. If you know where you're going, if you know what's up ahead, it's not something like, say, Floodlit Fish or whatever that burning rope stage was, where you are always like on edge of seeing if something's about to hit you. This is like a stage where you can see pretty clearly what's ahead if you're paying attention, which shouldn't be a thing to complement a Donkey Kong Country stage at this point so late in the cycle. But considering the world we're in, that's the advantage it has. And I really like how it feels to move around in ropes in these games. I feel like it's very zippy. There's not a lot of delay in turns. So that's another thing that has it going for it. And it's just really good. And I'm a big fan of the color scheme that they use here, the purple and the blue. I am absolutely about it. It's kind of reminiscent to Chain Link Chamber back in the second game. No, I didn't even have to go there. That was just where life was. It's a little bit shorter than Chain Link Chamber, a little bit easier, but I think I like it better than Chain Link Chamber. So that's another thing. For those exact same reasons that it's shorter, because Chain Link Chamber kind of goes for a bit long, in my opinion. Although this part is scary if you're not good at jumping. Probably just better to swoop through as Dixie, but what do I know? Another distinct thing with this stage, I don't think I've seen one helicopter boy so far. So that's probably why it's one of the better stages. This is like a real easy way of getting the... I found this by accident. This is just an easy way of getting the bird through. Congratulations. Oh no, you still gotta do hard stuff. Okay. So that's a bird that actually leads you to a bonus barrel. And there's at least one that will lead you to a DK coin, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that because that bird is in a hidden stage, which is not something this Let's Play will be covering. Yeah, no, that wasn't... I wasn't going to be doing this. Sorry. As soon as I saw what it was, I was like, nah, I don't think so. You know, video's long enough as it is. Doesn't feel like the second to last world either, you know? It's just... It feels like something that would be in the middle of the game, not at the end of the game. So here is a boss whose name I did not read before we went in, so I already forgot the name of it, so I'm going to call him the Green Starfish. Green Starfish is a unique boss to Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Game Boy Advance. What used to be here was the big sea urchin that we fought back in Pacifica. They kind of switched it around because it would make more sense for like the big ocean boss to be in the big ocean world. And this guy as a boss, well, he's kind of dumb. I don't know how much time was put into this. I kind of don't know why they bothered. the world would probably be better without him, but if you must know what the deal with him is, you know, he's reaching out to get these claws at you, and somebody's from the cliff wall is throwing these bombs, and you just kind of have to make him hit these bombs. And, you know, as he goes faster, he starts getting angrier at you. He starts freaking out a little bit. Why has got stupid idiot eyes? Is there any other Donkey Kong Country boss that looks as dumb as this? I don't think so. While I'm at it, the new boss in Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance was also dumb as hell, but at least it had something resembling a design. This is just a glob of clay. This looks like something made in art class. I'm done. That's enough of sick burns from the fucking video game nerd. No affiliation with the angry video game nerd. The fight lasts for way too long, though. Because really, it's all just a matter of chance and hoping that he's going to reach where you want him to reach. And the bomb's going to fall where you want him to drop. He just kind of sinks because he's embarrassed of himself. Another obstacle out of the way. So that's Razor Ridge. That's the name of this world. Not a great world, but the next world will be the final world in the game, and I guess the final video. Thanks for being patient with me. The pathway has opened up, and I'll see you next time, I guess.